Top 5 Methods of Interrogation. Number 5. Sensory bombardment. This includes being bombarded with loud noises or music and flashing or bright lights. These methods are designed to overload the senses, interfering with sleep, cognition, and concentration. An Iraqi dissident reported his experience of this form of interrogation technique. He was made to stand or kneel facing a wall for 7.5 days, hooded, and handcuffed tightly with plastic strips. At the same time, a bright light was placed next to his hood whilst distorted music was played. Number 4. Stress positions. This is posing a detainee in an erect standing position for a period of several hours. No restraints or external devices are used. Variations of this technique include the extension of one's arms outward to the side. According to one Army intelligence officer with personal knowledge of these practices, soldiers in the field developed harsher variations of the stress technique. In one position reportedly improvised by soldiers in the field, known as a short shackle, detainees are bound at the wrist and ankle with metal or plastic handcuffs and then doubled over with their wrists bound to their ankles, either while lying on the ground or sitting. Stress positions are commonly used by the U.S. military. Recruits are often put in stress positions during basic training, the most common being the front-leaning rest-E, which is the military term for the push-up positions. Number 3. Sensory deprivation. In a study on sensory deprivation, 17 paid subjects were placed in a tank-type respirator that blocked all sensory stimulus. The subjects could breathe for themselves through open vents. The time limit for staying in the tank was 36 hours. Only 6 of the subjects completed the full time. 4 of the 11 who left the study early complained of anxiety and panic. The chief effect of solitary confinement is to deprive the subject of many or most of the sights, sounds, tastes, smells, and tactile sensations to which he has grown accustomed. It is believed that a few hours in this environment is equal to weeks or months of imprisonment in an ordinary cell. Number 2. Sleep deprivation. The most common method of sleep deprivation is to keep the prisoner awake for several days. When they are finally allowed to fall asleep, they are awakened and interrogated. Ex-Israeli Prime Minister Menachem Begin describes his experience of this technique when he was a prisoner of the KGB. In the head of the interrogated prisoner, a haze begins to form. His spirit is wearied to death, his legs are unsteady, and he has one sole desire, to sleep. Anyone who has experienced this desire knows that not even hunger and thirst are comparable with it. As well as leading to hallucinations, sleep deprivation for periods longer than 24 hours can lead to a state of temporary insanity. Number 1. Isolation. Isolation is the idea that a person should be left entirely without stimulation by another person. When left for the right amount of time in this state, it leads to a deep feeling of anxiety. The Kubark document, 1, states, little is known about the duration of confinement calculated to make a subject shift from anxiety, coupled with a desire for sensory stimuli and human companionship, to a passive, apathetic acceptance of isolation. The document recommends that the interrogator should determine whether the person being interrogated has been imprisoned in the past, do better judge the amount of solitary time that will have the greatest effect,